All right. Hello and welcome back to the Listening to Your Gut podcast. I'm super excited today. We are going down a path we've never gone down before. We are going to talk all about clothing today, children's clothing, and really incredible. We're going to talk about all kinds of things related to the types of clothing we wear in terms of it being organic materials or not. And I'm super excited to have our guest, Samantha Gentry, here today. So, Samantha, welcome.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It is so nice to be with you, and I'm really excited that there's an interest in what we're wearing and
Yeah.
what is in our everyday clothing because our skin is the largest organ. So it is very important what we put not only in our body but on our body. And many people don't realize that. So I really am glad that I have the opportunity to speak with you. Why is that important? Actually, how big of a problem that is. Anyway, so other details. First of all, thank you for having me on. Yeah, I'm here to see how can I best help you and your audience. So
Yeah,
you just go ahead and I'll follow your lead.
that sounds great. So first off, I would love to know when you felt this calling, this pull to create children's clothing. I'm assuming you had a knack for wanting to go down this path, but why
Yeah,
children's clothing in terms of adult clothing? What was the pull?
yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a mom and I have a child, so I suppose it's a natural starting gate there. Trying to find clothes for my daughter. She's 12 now, but I've really been trying all of her life to
Yeah,
find beautiful clothes. And, I'm originally from Europe,
yeah,
and there is a certain style to European clothing that you can't really find in the US a lot and very rarely, especially not now. Now it's so much contemporary, so much different. You go to Nordstrom or another store and there are beautiful items, but it really depends on the style and what you like.
yeah.
And I don't know, for me, having a dress for a 5-year-old with the one shoulder off or with an empty back, it doesn't really talk to me. To some other people do, and I never judge. I really respect everyone. It just doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah.
And I really been trying to find clothes for my daughter that are not extraordinarily expensive, right? But at the same time, they are, according to my style, which is, on the European side. So basically, when I went to Europe in 2019, and I went to Austria, and we went to start working in Vienna, and we brought some things back, some items. And, I realized maybe more than ever the stark contrast between what I have in my house,
Yeah.
my house is full of stuff I bought from the US, right? And then I'm bringing these things from Austria, and I see a huge, like when I put it like in the house,
Yeah.
you can see like this is really different. And it's not just the difference, but it's also the quality. So, for example, a teacup that I got, a tea set, you can wash that and you can use that every single day. The colors will never fade. They will stay like new. And not because the chemical is stronger, but actually the opposite. There are no chemicals.
Yeah.
So, if you use plants, right, are dyes, plants, right? And they are really permanent dyes made of plants,
Yeah.
and they are natural. So because Europe tends to produce clothing and other products out of materials that have less chemicals, you also end up with items that last a long time, right? Because they're less processed, so to speak, right? So basically, to answer your question, Farhan, um, my idea of offering children clothes for children from Europe started after I came from Austria.
Mhm.
I do want to make one caveat. I don't create those clothes. I don't design them. I just have relationships with European brands,
Yeah.
and I bring them to the US.
Love it.
So I have a relationship with brands in Italy. You can look at our website in Italy, and I'm not here to promote my site. And by the way, I shouldn't even bring that up. But
No, it's all good.
basically, I'm here to just share how important it is should be mindful of the quality of clothes and the composition of the material that is that particular item, that makes that item. Because in the US, and I have an article here, actually is titled, and anyone can look it up, over 1,000 toxic ingredients banned in Europe, but not in US. So there are thousands of chemicals that they're not allowed in Europe. So what happened is European Union, and not all the countries in Europe are part of the European Union. We can have that history discussion another time. But most of the countries are part of the European Union. And even those that are not, they're still mindful because there's a Europe, Europe, I would say, kind of a standard, unspoken standard to use products that have no chemicals or less chemicals in them. And the European Union actually mandates that certain chemicals are not used. You cannot use them. So there's a strict, I would say, framework within which those European manufacturers must function, whether they like it or not. Now, for the benefit of our health, they must follow this requirement. So that's really a good thing, and I'm looking at this article, formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is right from the biology class with the frog, right? What is the liquid that keeps that frog there for a long time? It's formaldehyde. Well, guess what? We have it everywhere around us, even though we're not frogs, right? We have it everywhere, in cosmetics, in everywhere around us, petroleum, and it's just terrible. This is just terrible. How many chemicals? So you can look at this, parabens, triclosan. I mean, there are names you cannot pronounce, so that's always like a red flag. Like, wait a minute, this should probably be near to, because I can't even say it.
Yeah.
So, so it really became important to me that I bring Europe to America, so to speak, and that really is my mission. That is what I am trying to do. So, I'm very much into organic, and I'm trying to stay away from marketing. I apologize for making that caveat, but I'm really about organic. I'm really about smelling a product that smells. I forgot how cotton smells. I don't know if you know how cotton smells, but I forgot how cotton smells. So when I got this clothing from Europe, I smell cotton. It's like clean. It's so amazing. It's clean,
I bet.
like fresh, and no hint of chemical.
Yeah.
And it just is very, like, really different when you buy something here and you smell it. Well, it smells like chemical. You don't have to sniff it along, right? You smell chemical, and you have to wash it, right? Now, Mom, you should wash clothes because they stay out. But in this case, clothes that have chemicals, you must wash them, because not only they have the chemicals that are embedded within the material that you can't really wash out, but there are chemicals on top. So it's just terrible.
Yeah.
And my passion for clothing, particularly, it became important as it relates to children.
Yeah.
Because your skin is the largest organ. So everything that you put on your skin is absorbing. People don't really realize that. They say, well, I'm eating healthy, but I'm using all of these fancy cosmetics and I'm going to make myself so pretty. Well, you eat healthy, but then you introduce all of the toxins back in your body, which probably is even worse than having maybe non-organic apple, right? The toxin that you introduce in your body via skin, probably there are many more and worse than, eating an onion that's non-organic. And people don't realize, but I think there's a trend. I think there's a movement towards, waking up from the sleep, so to speak, and just say, we have to be aware. What do we come in contact with? And how can we control that? Because guess what? We can control. We will not, no one forces us, right? We just have to educate ourselves. And we have to find sources where to go and buy things, right, that are less dangerous to our health. But isn't it more important of this topic when it is applied to children? Because children, especially babies, right, they are developing. They are, their body creates the cells are multiplying tens of thousands every minute.
Yeah.
Well, how do you multiply those cells? In a healthy environment or in a toxic environment, right? What is the likelihood of those cells surviving in a healthy environment or in a toxic environment, right? And what happens if they don't survive? Well, you get ADHD, you get, all kind of things, right? You have all kind of kids today, small kids, right? They have all kind of issues, right? And it a lot really, I strongly believe that a lot has to do with what we put in and on our bodies. And it really has a lot to do with that. It has a lot to do with being aware that this is a problem, that what you put in your body, on our body, it doesn't really go some sort of a mysterious place that no one knows about, and you can't see it. You can't see it, it's not a problem, right? So there's kind of mentality that, okay, so what? Well, but if you make a scanner, that people will walk with a scanner every day, they would be shocked to see what bad things they have on their skin, they apply themselves, including clothing,
Right.
and their body, right? So this is something that, it's a continuous education. But like I've said, the kids are really a population that is particularly susceptible, because kids can make choices, first of all, right?
Yeah.
So are in the middle of a world that is not quite at that point to realize the dangers of materials in clothing, or rather the ingredients, the toxicity in clothing, and they are just developing in this environment. So this is our society, this is our future population, and their brain is impacted, everything is impacted, right? So you probably there's a window between 0 months old, 5 years old, that a child can learn 11 languages without having an accent, like literally very original pronunciation. So their cells are developing, are multiplying, the neural pathways are expanding. All of this transformation, it occurs during this first 5 years of life. And according to some medical research, and I'm not a doctor, so please don't take my advice, but I read some articles where it states that after like 7 years old, it really plateaus. So whatever cell power you have retained, because some of the cells are not, they're not going to, in other words, some of them atrophy, some of them not, some of them survive. But with the power of the cells that is present at 7 years old, that is what you're going to pretty much be with forever.
Yeah.
So if you are developing your cells in a toxic environment, it's less like you're going to have a large number of powers, right? In your brain power, right? And it's not just your brain, but everything. So, but everything starts from the brain, right? So you move your fingers from the brain, right? So it's so important to understand that this is a problem. Then and it is about. So what is important to for people maybe to think about is what can we do to reach out? What can we do to reach out to sources that promote health, that promote less chemicals, right? So so that is really why what I started, with the passion, and of course it's also the style, right? Europe, right? Because it's a style, European, it's I would say it's cute, but I wouldn't want to say it's cute because European, because maybe I'm not, maybe I am biased, right? So, but there's a certain style that is different, and people can see that, and it's nice to have some sort of I would say, diversity in what you're wearing, right? So anyway, to answer your question, that was really why I started to look into children clothes for my daughter. But then I kind of realized the dangers of chemicals in what I'm finding every day on the U.S. market, and I kind of went from there where I am right now.
Well, I love that. First of all, I love the passion. I can tell the passion you have for this. And I mean, we need more people like you that are advocating, because again, that was what I was going to say next was you're advocating, you're advocating for a population that can't necessarily advocate for themselves. And so how incredible is that you're out there promoting this understanding, this knowledge.
Yes.
Again, it's like so many things. To your point, our skin is our largest organ. I, for one, didn't know that until 3 years ago when I got my holistic nutrition certification. It's like so many of these things we grow up not knowing, not being educated on it. And we need people such as yourself to share this knowledge, because without it, we just are kind of blindly going through life, not understanding that there are ways in which we can help ourselves. One of which is, choosing what type of clothing we're choosing to put on our bodies, which is
Oh my gosh, it is so important. And I really, really appreciate you give me this opportunity. Because I really do believe, I mean, Western medicine is wonderful and it's needed, but at the same time, I strongly believe that what you put in your body and what you put on your body, it really controls a lot of your health.
Yep.
So, instead of running for medicine every, why don't we try to actually go to the root of how do we live our lives, right?
Yep.
The water that we're drinking, the air that we breathe, what do we put in your body, right? Your body is a temple, right? Some say that. And what you put on your body, and it is so important. Now, I'm going to share, if it's okay with your audience, and a link. I think I sent you the links. And if it can be found at atlanticjournal.com/blogs/stories/healthy-skin. And you can see, an article that provides some information about the dangers of chemicals in children clothing. There was a study done by University of Toronto, and that's also linked in my article, where it was discovered extraordinary, not just above the limit, but extraordinary amount of lead in children's purses and arsenic and just dangerous lurking chemicals. And there's this professor, actually, if you look at that article, in the picture, actually pointed to this person that they were, I don't know, from some side people got them for children, right? I mean, they're very cute, they're very lively colors, they're very pretty, but when they done those tests, they were shocked. I mean, I suppose they were expecting, because that's why they done the test, but probably they're not expecting the level of arsenic and lead and everything else that they found in children clothing and purses. So I'm really encouraging your audience to look at that article. And I put some tips also what you should be aware of, what you should probably think about on your daily life to protect yourself and lessen the likelihood of sickness. And I strongly believe in that. I strongly believe in preventative medicine. I strongly believe in taking steps to live in a clean life, right? So there are many components with that, right? Clean life means clean air, maybe you have something in your house to clean your air, clean water, right? You want to be aware of that, what you put on your body, right? And even when it goes to, I'm going to go a little bit off right now, but even goes to emotions, right? Emotions sometimes can be toxic, right? You wanted to be aware of how can you live a peaceful, as much as you can, life, right? Someone said the cells are eavesdropping in your thoughts. So basically, your cells, even though you don't realize, when you're upset, they release hormones. When you're happy, there is a different type of hormone. And your cells are really eavesdropping your thoughts. They are listening, and it is so important that you take control measures to have time, positive, and surround yourself, forgiveness. It's so hard to forgive, especially when you're upset, right? But at the same time, you want to keep in mind that that positivity is so beneficial to you, and that negativity is so bad for you. And it's not just, oh, I don't feel good about being upset. Oh, I said something, now I feel bad. No, it goes beyond that. It could actually release toxins in your body, and your cells are listening. They're eavesdropping in your thoughts. So you really want to be aware of, and I think I put that in my article. You want to be aware of just overall your life, because you want to, to be happy and live a healthy life, right? So speaking of going back to clothes right now, I have this other article here, and this is more, the article is called "Are Your Clothes Making You Sick? The Opaque World of Chemicals." In fact, I apologize for my accent sometimes. People don't understand what I'm saying. Anyway, "The Opaque World of Chemicals in Fashion." And it's written by Alden Wicker, published July 3rd, 2023. and it really identifies cases that are actually well known where clothing caused sickness and death. There was actually a case against Alaska Airlines, and back a few years ago, I don't know if you heard of. So the Alaska Airlines hired the company to develop to create and manufacture new uniforms, right? Once the Alaska Airlines attendants started wearing this uniform, guess what happened? They started having blistering rashes, swollen eyes, hives, breathing problems, and they document at least two cases here, Mary and John. And they started developing these hair problems. Guess what happened? The test revealed a significant amount, like a significant, way above significant, lead, arsenic, cobalt, antimony, dispersed dyes, toluene, hexavalent, chromium, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
That, and this is important, have been banned in the European Union. But they're still in the US. I'm not sure right now, but according to this article, we're there.
Yeah.
So Alaska Airlines decided to procure new uniform because of these health issues. A 2018 Harvard study found that after the introduction of uniforms, they developed more chemical sensitivity, and the study found a direct relationship between the health complaints and the new uniforms. Few years later, John, the attendant, in perfect health before the introduction of the uniforms, died after years of seeking and failing to find treatment for his symptoms, such as cardiopulmonary arrest and secondary asthma, which he developed as a result of wearing those uniforms.
Oh my gosh.
And these are stories that are very tragic, but are very real.
Yeah.
So the free airlines, airline Delta and Southwest, they were pretty much using the same manufacturer. The manufacturer, got into legal trouble, but there was no evidence, so it just got nowhere, except that people got really sick. And there are so many in this particular article, the document, so many other cases, and highlights a book, How Toxic Fashion is Making Us Sick, and it's called To Die For by Alden Wicker. So, it's really, I'm just trying to, like you said, I'm really advocating because I think it's so wrong. And, and it's look at this picture, like chemicals lurking in this material, and people don't, like I've said, if they would walk away with a scanner, they would see, right? And they would probably be very much awake, like, wait, this is a problem.
Yeah.
But they don't. And all I'm asking is people to just be more aware.
Sure.
And when you buy something, smell it. If it smells before you buy it, probably you shouldn't buy it. Maybe try to find something organic, and go online, something because organic cotton smells so beautifully. It's amazing. So that anyway. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to on my case in my business, I'm trying to bring Europe to America. Yeah. Because the European materials are being regulated heavily as to what is in their, what the ingredient they're using for them to be produced. I am trying to bring them to the United States. I'm trying to find a source where the U.S. consumer can go and purchase these materials and purchase this clothing that are beautiful and also healthy. And I would want to say in defense of the U.S. consumer, it is difficult to find those materials. Yeah, it's not easy, right? And there are some expensive, but even it's the one that you can find maybe at Whole Foods. To be honest with you, I'm going to be candid here. They're healthier, but many of them are not that pretty. And you have the wool or the cotton. You touch them, they're kind of hard. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to buy it because I know it's healthy, but I really don't like it on my skin. It's healthy, but I don't like the way it feels. So I'm trying to solve this problem because the European Union mandates this regulation as to what the other materials. Well, they become experts now in creating materials and products that reflect the standards of the European Union, but they are soft and they're pretty and they're beautiful. So anyway, so that's that is that's what I'm trying to do. So
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead, please.
Oh,
I just, you can interrupt me anytime.
oh, you're good. You're good. You are good. No, I love that. And I was just thinking as you were sharing some of those horrific examples of, how our clothing is impacting us and our health.
Yeah,
I mean, you just have to think that those are just some of the documented ones. There are so many that are undocumented, right? That, I mean,
yeah,
I can imagine there's so many people out there that are dealing with things that, my gosh, it could be the clothing that they're wearing is the root cause of it. And so it's awful that, again, to your point, people don't know. People don't know, and we
yeah,
need to bring this awareness to them. So I would love, my next question for you is really around the organic clothing. Like what are the benefits? We know skin wise, of
yeah.
course, and overall health, but really bring us in on organic materials and the importance of that, and how
Absolutely,
can we make that
absolutely.
more accessible.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And you know what? When I speak about clothing, and I just want to kind of be ties with what we discussed earlier, but
Yeah.
it's well, first, why? Or yeah, organic means that you're taking it from the nature,
Yep.
and you pretty much make it pretty, but you don't add chemicals to it. So that's pretty much organic, right? So when you have like organic tomatoes, well, you have a grow of the tomatoes are grown without chemicals, right? So in other words, that's pretty much what organic entails.
Yeah.
And but so so that's organic cotton. Means it's beautiful. It smells like cotton. You don't smell chemicals, and it is important, overall. But you made a good point, because it's not just organic, let's say clothing, but it's pretty much like you said, but like everything else around us.
Yeah.
And it is so important to understand that it's not just actually the clothing,
Yeah.
what you put in, but dishes, for example.
Yeah.
You need to be aware that many of them have lead in them. And when you cook in them, when no, okay, think about those pans, non-stick pans. Now they're starting now being proven that they're not healthy,
Right.
but anything that's non-stick, including non-wrinkle. Okay, if a clothing doesn't wrinkle, probably there's a
What's
reason
going
why,
on?
and because a natural item from nature will probably wrinkle. So
Yeah.
all of these, like these attributes that I would say they're not really attributes, they're actually danger, that are enemies. But even in like dishes, you want to be aware that the best is glass. If you can find, and actually I found some on Amazon, pretty cheap.
Yeah.
If you can find glass dishes, are the best. So you have to be aware of not just clothing is a part, but pretty much everything. So it's a part organic. That's really what encompasses. Now organic becomes like a little fancy term, like well, we have to be rich to buy organic. But well, I mean, I would say, first of all, do you want to spend your time in hospital paying a ton of money for your health, or
Right.
you want to spend some extra money now and make sure you're taking proactive measures to not get sick, right? Because you don't have all of these toxins in your body.
Yeah.
So organic is really important in many areas, and not just clothing, right? Organic produce, and it's really what it means is coming from the nature and embrace nature. The more fruits and vegetables. I'm not going to sound like a broken record here, but it really is true. It's really is true that eating vegetables and fruits and organic are really important. I think people hear it all the time,
Yeah.
but what happens, they don't apply it because they think that, well, this is okay too. And I think this is where the problem, there's a disconnect. And you are so correct. There are only few documented cases, but there are many, many, many that are not. And people are not aware of them. So they don't really pay attention to, well, organic and non-organic. So what? Well, all I know is that organic is more expensive. That's what they have to buy, right? So
Yeah.
they kind of veer towards, well, I'm just going to buy non-organic. So it really is important to be aware that it's not just about clothing, but it's about anything that you have around. Does that make sense? Is that
Yeah,
the answer?
That makes total sense. I guess my next question is, okay, so we know that we can get cotton organic. Are there any other clothing materials that originate as organic,
Yeah,
like that we can get organically?
yeah. Well, you know, it's so organic cotton means that, it's cotton that's being produced and
Yeah.
being grown without pesticide and is, literally like an organic kind of vegetable in a way.
Yeah.
But in other type of materials, organic would translate into no chemicals added. So for example, silk, right? You know how silk is being made, right? How is the silk made? The little butterflies, right? That they made the silk, right? So that's silk. So silk is being produced without added chemicals, right? All the other materials are produced now. I don't know the actual manufacturing process, how they produce the velvet, for example. But I'm sure by next time I can get more into like the history of how materials have been produced. But pretty much overall, and I got your question. You made a good point. It's not just the label of organic, but
Yeah.
it's how they are produced, right? Because it'd be like silk. Now, organic silk, I didn't really encounter that term a lot, organic silk, but it's organic, it's a silk without many of the chemicals that are usually used in the silk production. Velvet, any other materials. As close you can get to the nature, the better. But there's not only that, is what you add afterwards. It's like a vitamin.
Mhm.
So, for example, you have a vitamin is vitamin C, and you take it, you notice that doesn't really have a lot of impact. Well, why? Because 90% of that particular vitamin is not actually vitamin C. It's produced in a lab. They're going to add like 10 or 5% of the real vitamin C from a lemon or an orange, right? And they call it vitamin C. The same with natural flavor. So you know what natural flavor is, right? Is that natural flavor?
Flavor.
No,
Yep.
it's not natural flavor. They call it natural flavor because what they do, they let's say they say lemon or natural, they produce it in a lab.
Yeah.
They add like a drop of lemon, a drop, okay? And they
Yep.
call it our natural flavor, but it's not.
Yeah.
The artificial flavor doesn't have the drop. The natural flavor has the drop.
Yeah.
So just FYI, and everyone should listen here, talk to your naturopath or your doctor. Please, do not take my advice. But from my understanding is that when you read the label,
Yeah.
well, when you see the artificial flavor, probably you want to run away because you
Right.
don't have artificial flavors, right? Because that's just pure talk. Like, hey, I am toxic, so take me
Yeah.
and you're sick. But when you see natural flavor, you run away too because
Yeah.
natural flavor means chemicals.
Yep.
Anything that's natural flavor is not natural. 100%, right? It's
Yeah.
actually the other side, the other way. So the same with materials, right? So it's not just the fact that it's actually organic, or it's what they put afterwards to make it not wrinkling, to make it, I don't know, look more softer, all of these other attributes, and what they add to make it more of it, right? Because they expand the material so they can sell more of it. While they do that, it starts from nature. Everything starts from nature, right? The problem is that companies and manufacturing companies that are not regulated, they really take that to the new level. They make more money, but at the expense of the consumer that's going to buy that particular product or material, because they're using technology, and they're using man-made technology and chemistry to extend, I don't know, the length of the material, the softness, to confer various attributes, because it's more profitable versus having one piece of silk that's pure silk,
Yep.
right? I mean, pure silk, not processed, right? It's beautiful, but they're not going to make a lot of money if it's only this small. So they're going to
Yeah.
have to find a way to make more of it.
Yep.
And now it becomes smellable because now it's chemical and now it's dangerous for you, right? So so that's pretty much what I was saying. And I know you made a good point. Like, okay, how are we looking at organic produce and organic materials? So how are we going to differentiate? It's really difficult. And the reason it's difficult is because whereas you go to the grocery, you can see organic section and you can see non-organic section. So it's like pretty much obviously explanatory what to buy. But in other areas of consumers purchasing, you don't have that clear differentiation because the alternative of organic healthy materials is very, very low.
Yeah.
So you pretty much walk into the toxic environment every day of your life.
Yeah.
And I feel that, however, there's a movement, and I feel like, people are becoming more awake, right? Including myself, right? I didn't really always believe so strongly, but as you grow, I suppose, especially right now with our interconnectivity, with social media, with people being able to get in touch with each other, or research. And I'm not sure about necessarily social media as far as how helpful is that, but as far as research and the lengths of people realizing that is important to be aware of your environment. This is something that was not really impressed upon, I don't know, in 1970s, right? Because if you look at those ads from 1970s, 1960s, they were like making advertising, advertising something that was like this Jello. Remember those Jello advertising, those Jello ads? That's the Jello. Well, this pure chemical. And they were like, oh, Jello for dinner, right? Like you make all of this Jello color for Jellos, right? And like, oh, put it in the middle of the plate. Oh, my kids have Jello tonight, right? So it wasn't so much, right? So much awareness, right? And this is where the beauty of evolution is, right? Because now we're like more aware. And I'm positive that in about 10 years, the 20, of course, and so on, there's going to be a shift on how we are controlling our environment, how we can take matters in our hands, so to speak, because nature is there for us. Nature is beautiful, right? We just have to be aware that, I'm not talking about climate change right now, but we just have to be aware of nature. We have to respect it, and we have to use it, and we don't abuse it. Because we abuse it at the expense of everyone's health, right?
I agree. Well, it made me think that, to your point, nutrition labels, one, are very deceiving, as we know. Just with, like you said, natural flavors. Yeah, it's not really natural. But I also feel like maybe we'll get to this point that we almost need a nutrition label, but not nutrition. We need an ingredients label or a
100%. High five.
Yeah.
I was in a high five right here. High five.
Yeah, high five. We need a materials
really
label.
Amazing. That's exactly you crossed exactly. You are so 100% correct. We have labels on our products when we go to the grocery store about what ingredients. We must have those labels in everything.
We need that for clothing, because I think if you saw arsenic, lead, you'd be like, absolutely not. I'm not going to put that on my body. Like, no, thank you. I'm gonna pass.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But and I 100%, I agree 100%. And I think it'll happen. But it's not going to be easy. It's not easy because you're swimming against the course, because I mean, there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of quality, a lot of interest involved, right?
Yeah.
So, it's really not easy to make that change, but I think it will happen because, people, especially the new generation, which, every generation has its faults, right? I mean, because I am like on the, on the over, the other generation older. But and then we complain about the Gen Z, oh my gosh, who they are, they have no idea what to do. But you know what? When we were young, the other generation complained about us, right? It's just like a circle. It happens all the time. It happens. It's a continuous, right? But one thing about this generation, the young generation, is that I feel like they, to some extent, they're self-empowered into making choices. Into taking control of what they like, what they want, what they don't want. Now, some people may say like, okay, well, that's not really good to some extent because, you have to, and so, but to some extent it is good. And then in this case, I think it is very good. The fact that they really care and they really, even though maybe they don't realize, they actually have a vision.
Right.
They have a vision that it is hard to get there, but I feel like this generation is more gearing towards, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
I
And
agree.
there are many things that are not that great, and but no, nothing is perfect all the time. But we are, I think, moving in the right direction. And I strongly believe that in 10, 20 years, if we meet, we're going to have a different discussion,
I
because people
yeah,
are more aware and more
yeah,
self-educating. And I see it in everything. I see it from people. I don't know that. I don't know. They got a cold and they say, okay, here's what I'm doing. That things that people before, like, no, I'm just gonna take some pills. I'm just gonna do them.
yeah,
People are like shifting. Like, well, wait a minute. Before I run to the doctor to get some pills,
yep,
I'm going to try this. And this is what actually we're talking about, right? Because we're talking about how we can take steps to control our lives, to make our lives better, and in every way, and also including health, right? What do we started to work with on our body, right?
yeah,
And people don't realize that, right? Like you said, you just realized a few years ago, because people don't realize
yeah,
that the skin is not some sort of a steel shield that nothing penetrates. You can just
right,
put whatever on it and you're going to make it pretty. And
yeah,
then, no, actually, skin is an organ.
yeah,
It's an actual organ.
yep,
And it penetrates your derma, it goes all the way in your bloodstream.
yeah,
Like myself, I just use oil. I'm now using creams for the past 5 years, I think. I'm
yeah,
just using jojoba oil and all kind of oils,
same.
and it's perfectly. You just have to be aware.
Yeah. And it's
Everything else
incredible
around
too
you.
when you start doing that for your skin. Like, I mean, I've been using an organic skincare company that is just strictly oils for the
Yeah.
last
Oh
3 years,
yeah.
and my skin has never looked better.
Yeah.
It's because I'm not putting all this other crap on my face. It's just natural
Absolutely.
ingredients.
Absolutely. I mean, when you put the other things, see what happens is these toxins. Okay,
Yeah.
so they could cause you be sick, but you know what they also do? They messed up your hormones.
Yep. Yeah. And
So they messed up your body responses,
yeah.
alerts, right?
Yep.
So it's really so important. Your dopamine levels, serotonin levels. It really messes up the way you think. So you are so right. It is so important. The skincare and what you put on your body. The soap that you know. I had the story of a mom that she her daughter got sick. Her daughter was small, I know, a few years old, and she was determined to do something that is alternative, and she just like started eating plants only, feed her daughter plants. And what she did, which is pretty drastic, and I have to tell you, I'm not quite at that level, or I'm going to try, I'm really trying. All organic cotton sheets, organic mattress, organic, everything in her house, like nothing. And she got better, the daughter got better, and she's vegan, and they're happy and healthy. And and she just impressed me
Yeah.
on how she just changed and turned around her life and her daughter's life, and how she strongly believed that there is and was a connection between the changes that she made, drastic changes,
Yeah.
and the outcome of her daughter getting better and being healthy. And those are pretty serious illness. It wasn't like I have a cold.
Right.
So, but they're now happy and healthy, and she strongly believed, and I felt that when I was talking to her, that it's really important what you are surrounding yourself with. You
Absolutely.
know, from bed sheets and mattress and the air and the creams and the soaps and everything. And it's hard because, right, you ought to buy your organic toothbrush, organic toothpaste. The limitations are there. You can only go to Whole Foods or Mothers. Here where I live, we have Mothers is a store.
Yeah.
Whole Foods is supposed to be nationwide. But there are some health food store, but not at this extent. Only few, I would say, health food store carries natural organic toothpaste, right? So it's still limitation, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
I agree. I agree. Well, and I would love to know, because I know you are deeply passionate about bringing these clothing items
Yeah.
to US customers, but I also know that you've gone even further and you're starting to bring in new products. So what are some of the new products that you're bringing over too?
Yes, yes. So, we really, oh my gosh. So you have to come to our store. If you come to California, please
I
come.
love
We
that.
just had, we just had the physical store opening a week ago.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have a grand opening on the 29th. On the
Oh
29th is the grand opening here. The Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce is going to, really put together a grand opening for us.
yeah.
And we are so excited. Um, so, and because you should come in the store if people can come, but
Yeah.
you can also find online. So what happened is we started with children, and we definitely saw a really high reception of US consumer into organic and
Yeah.
healthy children alternatives. So because especially moms they're very sensitive to what they put on their kids, right?
Sure.
And the beauty is that our prices are not extraordinary, so we're not have like high designer prices, so we're pretty like in the middle, like quite reasonable. And then we got questions from our customers like, well, how about for me? Like, how about me? Like, I'm the so then we started bringing in some like, okay, some other things that are kind of complementary to our children. Well, a mom, for example, they can buy children clothes, but they can also buy accessories for her, like purses. They don't smell as chemicals,
Yeah.
but they're beautiful from Italy. We have gifts, various gifts that people can buy for Christmas. We have, the gifts, accessories. We have some home items. And one particular I want to highlight on our website, we have these bowls that are made of all, okay, this is we're talking about organic now. Okay, here's an example. We have these bowls from Germany that are
Wow.
being manufactured by a small Germany authentic brand in Germany that are being sold to us. They are made of pure olive wood, and there's no processing. And when you hold them in your hand, it's just an amazing feel. But when you smell them, if you like olive
Oh.
oil, oh, it's perfume, but in a way that is not perfume, no chemicals. It's like a natural olive smell. Literally, like you smell an olive. You smell an olive that's organic, natural olive. That's how those balls smell.
Wow.
Imagine having a salad with olive oil in an olive
Gosh.
wood bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, your senses are just gonna just have a big celebration.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, for totally anyone can come. We can just ship it to them. But
Yeah.
it's really it really something. Everything that we buy from you and we get from Europe,
Yeah.
it's unique.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's because we have these designers, right, that are located in Europe, and they are beautiful, healthy, and very different. You can see that you can see that you can't find in the US, right? You definitely can see. So actually I wanted to can I offer something for you guests as we're talking about? uh,
Sure.
so of course your guests can go to our website and you can find the article that I was referring to, and I'm going to repeat that: atlanticchildren.com/blogs/stories/healthy skin. And I'm very happy to offer all of your audience members 20%
Love.
off of any item they want, as long as they put the code podcast20. Podcast20 is the code. So the link for that is atlanticchildren.com/discount/podcast20. And they can get 20% of they can put in their shopping cart 10,000 items, they're gonna 20% of all of them. So so it's not like only one item. I want to, yes, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
Absolutely.
I think we need more people like you also, to really be passionate and to really bring to the surface the importance of a healthy living, and for people to understand that healthy living doesn't only mean buy organic produce. Healthy living means what to put on your body. It means what you're surrounding yourself with. And especially for children, if you're a mom, you must really pay attention to this, because this is your child. You love your child, and you want your child to have a happy, healthy life. And it starts with the first year of life. You want to put them in a toxic environment or a healthier environment, right? So anyway, it's something that I'm very passionate about. Is not, but I'm still advocating. So, you know, I'm sure things will change, not because of me, but things will change because more people are aware, becoming more aware, like yourself.
Well, definitely. I mean, definitely people like you are helping to change the game. So don't discount yourself. You are definitely helping to change the game. And I so appreciate you sharing everything that you shared. And I appreciate the discount. We'll have all of that in the show notes. The last thing I wanted to ask you before
Yes.
we start to wrap
Yeah.
up would be,
Yeah.
what do you envision are like the next steps for your company and just,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
next couple of years? I would love to know.
Oh, yes. So, well, okay. So we're working on right now actually to expand in Europe, right? So we're working to expand where, um, not only so far as the inventory, that we have a larger inventory,
Sure.
but so far as the number of designers that we work with. And we want to work with all the 44 countries in Europe. So we work with quite a few, but we really want to get through the whole Europe. And my vision is that we're expanding also beyond children. We have men and women, which is going to be the next step.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have food. I can't wait for that.
Yes.
Because when you eat that, and I know when you go to Italy and eat pasta, you don't have the heavy feeling that you have when you eat pasta here, you
That,
know?
yeah.
And the same in France, you eat a croissant in France is very different than a croissant here.
Yeah.
So I want to bring food here. I want to bring, especially for babies, formulas that are organic, clean, you know, and that is I'm very, very much looking forward to because that's, it's really kind of complete the circle. And
Yeah.
it's on your body, in your body. And but that's step by step, right? Going after man, woman, we're gonna get other brands, other lines, and then woman now food. Food also requires obviously more care, right? There also United States has more stringent rules as to what you bring in, and so the FDA comes into place. You have a certain level of compliance. There's a permit process, it's not like overnight. So there's a process for that. But that is my dream. That is what I want to accomplish to literally, and I think I have it on our site, to bring America, to bring Europe to America doorstep. I want, and we can talk, and I would love to have another podcast with you, but
Yeah.
I want, my dream is also for every US person, any means, to be able to go somewhere with a physical store, with a platform, and they can buy something from Europe. Because also that's also a problem. Right now, only few can afford to travel to Europe to buy some gifts for Christmas or to buy some things from Europe and to buy some pasta or some chocolate. Only few.
Yeah.
And I want to change that
Yeah.
because I think it's possible. It's not only possible, but it's actually quite, quite encouraging, given the perception of the U.S. consumer for European products and the receptiveness of European manufacturers to come to the U.S. So it is quite possible. It's a lot of work, So we're looking also for investors. If anyone is interested, please contact us.
Yeah.
But that's really that's my end goal. My end goal is to be able to have a platform where everyone in the United States, whether in the 1% or 99%, you can go and buy something from Europe, and you can click the country you want to go and buy from, and not only that, but we ship it within same day or 24 hours. We are very prompt. All the inventory is here, not there, right? It's United States, majority of them, and we ship it whatever in stock right away. We handle all the returns, all the customer service. We are very prompt in that regard. We answer the calls or emails within 24 hours. We didn't have anyone that we did not answer within 24 hours. And most of the time is right away, actually, or in the next few hours. So we're very, really customer oriented. We want our customers to be happy. That's number one for me. I'm all about customers. I want them to be happy, but also I want them to have the opportunity to shop from Europe, where many of them, don't. I've not been to Europe since 2019, right? And I miss European products. So that, yes, I appreciate asking me that question. That's I appreciate that.
Well, you are not only going to make it happen, but I mean, you are going to be a driving force in this happening. So I'm so excited. I can't wait to continue to watch this evolution. And yeah, everyone go check out the website. Make sure you use that discount code. I'm going to be logging on there to see what I want to get. I mean, this is going to be like a little kid on Christmas figuring out what I want to get. So I'm excited. So again, Samantha, thank you so much for coming on today. I so appreciate you sharing everything that you did. And I mean, what an incredible honor it is to have had this chat with you and just to
And
share.
the same, I feel the same way. I feel the same way, Kelly, because, you know, we're sending more people like you. The society needs to really believe in truth. We're really talking about truth here, right? We're talking what is true, right? It can be anything, but it's clothing, could be food, could be ideas, could be vision. It's all about truth. And I really appreciate it. It's an honor to meet you.
Oh, well, likewise. Thank you so much.